Curtis Samuel will be limited today. Terrell Bernard limited as well. And then Amari Cooper is dealing with a wrist and taking it one day at a time here. So with that, I'll turn over to your questions.
Is Amari practicing or
No, he won't practice today. Yeah.
Did that happen in the game?
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, you mentioned a return game after the game the other night with a rookie Cognitive. Do you want his heels on the 10-yard line on that play, or have you talked to him this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just part of his development. We've got two young returners back there, along with Ty, who's also back there from time to time, and in the kick and punt return game. And it's really just, continued development for those two young guys in particular, and trying to go through and rinse every situation. And then you're going to have to learn from some situations that come up in the game as well. We can bring them up in practice, but there's also live game reps where you've got to execute or learn from some situations that you want back. So that's an ongoing situation and something we'll continue to work on. And, the good thing is we're playing a lot of young players, and there's going to be some learning on the run there.
John, I'm sorry, what was Amari's injury?
Wrist.
Yeah. In terms of defense, this year, red zone, you guys have been really good so far. You're like fifth in the league. Just what have been, and you played without some key guys for a stretch too. What have been some of the keys to your success down there?
I think just everybody being on the same page, really, Sal, with what we're trying to get done on each down, and what we feel like the offense is trying to do to us at the same time, and having their eyes in the right spots. So it starts up front as it always does, and then those two, the back end, complement the front end, and vice versa.
What do you see Tua making a difference now that he's back with that offense?
Yeah, I think they're back to being that offense that we know, and so explosive, so dynamic, so potent in what they do and how they do things. I think Coach McDermott does a great job of putting them into great positions, and so they're very tough.
What has been the key, though, of being able to have success against them over the course of the years with Tua starting in that offense?
I think just overall, holistically, I think playing good complementary football certainly helps, keeping their offense off the field. But overall, just doing what we can to win it, to win each play one down at a time, really.
Sean, the sales question, specifically the run D near the goal line, one of the best in the league. I think you guys allowed 2 touchdowns on 11 carries, 3.
Bless you. Yeah, sorry.
What's been unique about that goal line run D this year that's been so successful?
Yeah, I think just pad level more than anything. When you're talking about playing well up front, it starts with pad level. The guys are doing a good job of learning how to play with their hands more and more each week, and that's a technique thing as well, and philosophical thing for us. So they've done a really good job with that, and have taken a lot of ownership of that.
When you say pad level, you mean getting low, actually?
Yes, yeah, knee bend, pad level.
You're the guy like Greg Rousseau, who's 7 feet 8 or whatever it is. He's one of the keys for this. For him to be able to get low the way you need him to, how impressive is it?
Yeah, it's very impressive. Those, the taller guys, one is Greg, as you mentioned. It's a challenge for them to get to the position of having their eyes under the opponent's eyes to create the proper leverage that they need. And so, Greg, I know Greg being one of the guys is something he works hard on, and along with some of the other taller players that we have as well.
Sean, is Bond here in practicing today?
Yes. Yeah.
On the change in the CBA where he was able to be around the facility some halfway through his suspension, how did you see that play out? Like, is that helpful? What is that kind of like?
I think it is. I mean, we won't really know. This is our first time going through that, so we won't really know. But I would say from what I've seen over the last couple of weeks, it gives the player a chance to, number one, from a mental health standpoint, be back around his teammates. And then number two, from a physical health standpoint, do what he can to get himself ramped up a little bit as he comes off the suspension.
Sean, besides his work ethic and habits that you mentioned before.
I'm sorry. Who? What?
Besides work habits
Yeah.
and work ethic and habits, what makes Khalil Shakir such an efficient receiver? When you look at his catch percentages, off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 seasons.
what does he do that makes that possible?
Well, I think he just really embraces the growth mindset day to day of I want to get better. Here's what I'm focused in on. This is my level of preparation and trying to make sure that I'm doing my 111th. And he takes a lot of pride in that. And, I just think that you've watched him over the years come into his own and not feeling like he has to be somebody else, but really just be himself and the best version of him.
Sean, you talk often about winning the line of scrimmage. How would you assess where the offensive line is midway through this season, collectively as a group?
Yeah, I think they're doing a really good job, Jay. I really do. I think we've got 5 guys up there that are all reading the same book week to week, play to play, and that's important. The communication that takes place on the practice field, in the meeting room with Coach Cromer and Coach Gund and Millie in there as well. It's there's really one voice, but it's a consistent message across the board, which is important.
John, it looks like Dorian has obviously taken a step from year 1 to year 2, but is he still battling some inconsistency at times? There's some, he makes flashy plays, but then he kind of gets lost sometimes. Is that his biggest problem at this point?
I think I have my own inconsistencies. So,
So do I.
yeah. So no, it's a young player in year 2 of his development. And there's a lot that goes into playing the linebacker position and playing it well. And I think we all have seen those flashes of what he's capable of. But then like anything else, Khalil, Dorian, myself, there's still things to work on, and Dorian's focused in on those things as we move week to week here.
Sean, what do you do during the week to try to nip these penalties and the magnitude of them in the bud?
Well, you've got to be intentional about it. So it's, it starts with truth and awareness of, you can't do this and the standard, the expectation. And then 2 is we're intentional about it, going out on the practice field. I'm one referee out there, right? And it's hard to see everything. And we had officials here through the spring and through training camp, multiple sets, and it was great to have them. But they all have their other jobs they're doing now, and so I'm the only referee out there and can't see everything. So, the staff has to do a really good job in the film review, if not on the field as well, but also in the film review after practice of not just looking at scheme and fundamentals, but also where are we with pre-snap and where are we with some of the techniques as it relates to the penalties that we've gotten.
Have you seen some commonality? 2 of the last 3 games, I believe, double-digit penalties. Have you seen some of the same patterns, or has it kind of been different stories for different games?
No, I think there's been some overlapping areas that, when you play aggressively, number one, you're going to get some penalties. That said, some of the overlapping ones, some of the overlapping people, some of the overlapping types of fouls we got to get those out of our game.
Sean, how is Matt Milano's rehab going? Can you give us a little bit of an update there? And is there still a hope that he could return at some point this year?
Yeah, there is, Josh. I don't know a lot of the detail. I just kind of know a big picture view of Matt. He's moving in the right direction. I see him every day. He's one of the leaders on our football team. And I've even felt that I may have mentioned this last week. So I felt that more this year, even than I did last year. I think the rehab process this year with this injury is slightly different than last year's situation. So it's enabled him to be around more this year and be a positive influence on our football team in the linebacker room and the defensive room and overall. And you see him on the sideline during games too, and his influence is important down there for me and for us. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Any more detail on that I couldn't give you right now.
Sean, you're one of 18 teams that has a 4-game edge through week 8 since on your division. Do you find that unusual in the age of parity, and what's it say about maybe the AFC East or what the Bills are doing?
I don't worry about it really. I worry about what we do, and we drive from here to home and back. You guys know the drill, but that's good. That's what's kind of good too, is I don't really know who's doing well and who's not, other than just things that we need to work on and things we can get better at.
Sean, there was some hidden yardage in special teams in the game Sunday.
Yep.
One goes out of bounds to the 9. I think you guys drew 2 penalties on the other end as well. Can you just kind of talk about that unit when maybe you went 31-10, not a lot of talk about that happening and how that impacts it?
Yeah, I thought there were a couple big plays. Appreciate you bringing that up, Sal. It's those guys, they go kind of under the radar quite a bit with their play, and we talked about some of the decision making we have to improve on week to week as we move forward. But the core of what we're doing, I'm really liking, and I think Coach Smiley, Coach Harkey have done a really good job of taking our players and the roster and finding the right pieces for those players, or the right positions for those players, because they're somewhat all different, right? Other than the kicker and the punter and the long snapper, there's kind of moving chess pieces around week to week to see what guys are good at and using them in the areas that they're strongest in. And I think that's important in finding, your rhythm as a special teams group. And they've done a good job with that. And the players are starting to really, I think, develop an identity on special teams, which takes some time as well when you've got some new players.
And on that note, sorry, Joe Andreessen had a big hit on a kickoff. A guy like that who doesn't play a lot gets an opportunity. What does that do for him and for that unit?
Yeah, well, it helps build trust, really. I mean, just when you handle special teams the right way, and let's face it, all these guys are used to being a big fish in a small pond, most all of them, if not all of them. And so when you embrace that type of role and take your play to a certain level, a certain standard, that builds trust around the building, just in how you're handling your special teams role, right? So you're responsible over a little. Sometimes it grows to being responsible over a lot. So, yeah, you're good.
When you mentioned the Dolphins earlier being kind of back to who they are with Tua back, how much can you take from what they did during the stretch without him on offense when you're going through their film and just seeing what they did? Were you able to pull that much from that, or does it feel like you have to kind of throw some of that out since they were without Tua?
No, we look at everything. There's been, I think, roughly 5 games that they've played since we've played them. So, yeah, we look at everything. Again, I think Coach McDermott does a great job, along with his staff, of being really creative and putting these guys in positions and making a lot of big plays. And the speed that they have, as I've said before, is unmatched around the league.
Sean, what do you think?
You're good. Go ahead.
Just about Keelan halfway through.
Yeah.
In the process of getting adjusted to the NFL.
Some of the other young guys' names were brought up. I think he's another one that continues to develop and continues to take steps of growth and development, and both in the pass game but also in the run game. Real pleased with what he did last week, and just the awareness of knowing that there's more work to be done. I think we'll continue to see more and more of his best game going forward here. Thanks, guys.